There are stories that quietly sit in the corner of the world, unseen, unheard, waiting for someone to finally stop and listen. This is one of those stories, and it begins on a cold, silent street at the edge of a small town, a place where the rain rarely stopped and where people walked with their heads down, always rushing somewhere, always busy, always late, except for him. A dog, small, silent, soaked in rain, sitting in the same place every single day. No barking, no begging, no chasing cars, just waiting, as if time didn't move for him anymore. Some people noticed him, the same way you notice a faded poster on a wall you've walked past 1,000 times. Others pretended he wasn't there because sometimes it hurts less not to care. But he stayed, day after day, night after night, waiting for something only he seemed to remember, or someone. And this is where the story really begins. One evening when the rain had softened into a gentle mist, and the city lights blurred into warm, trembling halos, a man named Daniel walked past. Daniel wasn't the type of person who stopped. He had a life that was always moving, always loud, full of deadlines, noise, and the constant hum of worry. But grief changes people, and Daniel had known grief. He'd lost his wife 2 years earlier, and with her, he'd lost the version of himself who used to laugh easily, smile often, and believe that tomorrow was something worth looking forward to. He didn't expect to find anything that night, and he certainly didn't expect someone to find him. But when he walked past the corner, he saw the dog, just sitting there, still, soaked, quiet, with eyes that held entire storms inside them. And Daniel stopped. For the first time in a very, very long while, he stopped. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way the dog didn't flinch when the rain slid across his fur, or when cars splashed past. Maybe it was because Daniel saw something familiar in those eyes, something he recognized, lost, loyalty, waiting for someone who might never come back. He knelt down, slowly, gently. "Hey, buddy." His voice sounded strange, even to him. He hadn't spoken like that, soft, warm, caring, in years. The dog blinked but didn't move. Daniel reached out a hand, but the dog only looked at it. Not fearful, not aggressive, just unsure, like someone who'd learned that trust always comes with a price. Daniel smiled. "I'm not going to hurt you." The dog didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. And that was enough for now. For the next few days, Daniel kept coming back. He brought food, water, a blanket, even an old umbrella he tied to a railing so the dog could have some shelter. Each day, the dog let him come a little closer. Not too close, just close enough. And Daniel noticed something. The dog wasn't looking at him. He was looking past him, toward the road, toward somewhere far away, or maybe toward a memory. And then one afternoon, the truth arrived, in the form of an old woman walking by, cane tapping softly against the pavement. "You've seen him too," she said. Daniel nodded. She sighed. "He's been there for months." Daniel felt something twist inside his chest. "Waiting?" he asked quietly. She nodded. For the man who left him here, there it was, the truth, sharp, heavy, cruel. The man had driven away, promising he'd come back. He never did, but the dog stayed, because loyalty isn't always kind. Sometimes it chains your heart to ghosts. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay awake, listening to the rain against the window. The same rain he knew was falling across the dog's fur. And he thought about love, about promises, about how sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who leave. He knew that pain too well, so the next day he didn't bring food. He brought a leash, not to tie the dog, but to offer him a choice. He sat beside him, quiet, calm, patient, like the dog had been for all those months. He didn't rush him, didn't force him. He simply whispered, "You don't have to stay here anymore." Minutes passed, maybe hours. Then, the dog stood, walked toward him, stopped, waited, and in that moment the world felt like it was holding its breath. Daniel slowly clipped the leash onto the dog's collar. No resistance, just quiet acceptance, as if the dog wasn't choosing to leave the past, but choosing to follow hope. That night, for the first time in months, the dog didn't sleep under streetlights. He slept in a home, on a blanket, next to a heater, with the gentle sound of a heartbeat nearby. And Daniel, for the first time in years, didn't fall asleep alone. But healing isn't instant, and love, real love, requires patience. The dog sometimes woke up shaking, running in his sleep, tail hitting the wall, breath fast, eyes searching for something that wasn't there anymore. Daniel would sit beside him, whispering the same words again and again. "You're safe now." Sometimes, the dog didn't believe him. Sometimes neither did Daniel, because they were both still healing from different wounds, but somehow the same. Weeks passed, then months. Walks turned into adventures, meals turned into rituals, silence turned into comfort, and slowly the waiting dog began to live again. He chased butterflies, he rolled in grass, he learned what it meant to wag his tail, not out of hope, but out of joy. And Daniel, he started smiling again, not the polite smile he used with strangers, the real one. The one that came from somewhere deep. The one he thought he'd buried with the life he lost. But like every real story, there came a moment, a test. One day as they walked past the same street corner, the dog stopped, frozen. The memories rushed back. You could see it in his eyes. The waiting, the abandonment, the promise that was never kept. Daniel knelt beside him, his voice barely more than a whisper. "You can choose. Go back, or stay." The world went quiet. Then, the dog pressed his head gently into Daniel's chest. Not because he was owned, but because he finally understood. He wasn't waiting anymore. He was home, yellow heart, and that was the moment everything changed. Not with fireworks, not with grand music, but with a simple truth. Sometimes the ones who've been abandoned become the ones who teach us what love really means. Not loud, not perfect, but steady, quiet, faithful. The kind of love that doesn't leave even when the world does. Paw Prints Healing Paws Stories Outro Tone. If this story touched your heart, you're always welcome here, because every rescued paw has a story worth hearing, and sometimes when we save them, they save us too. Paw Prints Healing Paws Stories Episode 4. The Dog Who Refused to Leave, Part 2. Healing rarely arrives like lightning. It doesn't strike suddenly, fixing everything at once. It's quieter than that. It arrives slowly, like sunlight gently spilling over the horizon. Soft, unassuming, patient, and that's how life began to return for both Daniel and the dog he had begun to call Milo. Not a heroic name, not a dramatic one, just gentle, like him. Days slipped into weeks, woven together by the kinds of moments that never make headlines, but somehow change lives forever. Morning walks, warm meals, quiet evenings where neither of them felt the need to fill the silence. Because sometimes silence can be a kind of love too. The kind that says, I'm here, you're safe, and you don't have to pretend anymore. But the past has a way of echoing. One rainy afternoon, the kind where the sky feels heavy with memories. Milo froze at the sound of an engine. Car slowed nearby. Same color, same shape, same sound. You could see it in his eyes. Fear, hope, pain, old wounds tearing open, like they'd never really healed at all. His body trembled, not from cold, from remembering. Daniel knelt down, voice barely above a whisper. It's okay, you're not going back there. Not ever. But trauma isn't logic. It isn't reason. It's a storm. And sometimes, all you can do is hold on until it passes. So Daniel didn't say anything else. He just stayed, kneeling in the rain beside the dog who had once waited alone, and now didn't have to. That night was the first time Milo didn't sleep beside the bed. He curled up near the door, as if bracing for goodbye. As if saying, if you leave, I'll be ready. And Daniel's heart broke quietly in the dark, because he understood. He knew what it felt like to wake up one day and discover that the world you trusted had vanished. He whispered into the stillness, I'm not going anywhere. Milo didn't move, didn't respond, but slowly his breathing softened, and sleep came. Not peaceful yet, but close. Then one day something unexpected happened. It began with a knock on the door, a soft one, hesitant. Daniel opened it, and there stood a young woman, eyes tired, holding a worn-out collar in her trembling hands. I think that's my dog. Silence, the kind that hums thick, stretching far beyond the walls of any house. Daniel's chest tightened. Her voice cracked as she spoke again. His name is Milo. I didn't abandon him. I swear. My partner, he took him and left when I was in the hospital. I've been looking for him for months. Tears gathered at the edges of her words. And suddenly the story twisted. Not into villains and saints, but into something more complicated, more human. Pain rarely chooses clean lines. Daniel called Milo softly. The dog walked in carefully, ears tilted, eyes searching. Then he saw her, and the world stood still. There was no barking, no crying, just recognition. Deep, bold, undeniable. His tail didn't wag wildly. It moved slowly, cautiously, like a heart remembering how to beat again. The woman dropped to her knees. I'm so sorry, she whispered, over and over, as if she could apologize to time itself. And Milo, the dog who had waited in the rain, stepped closer. He pressed his head into her chest. A forgiveness Daniel didn't know existed. Not loud, not dramatic, just real. Daniel watched quietly, emotions swirling like leaves in the wind, because love is rarely simple, and sometimes doing the right thing hurts. He knelt beside Milo, stroking the fur between his ears. You remember, he whispered softly, but then something happened. Milo turned. He looked at the woman, then at Daniel, back and forth, as if his heart stood at a crossroads. And slowly, he walked back to Daniel, not rejecting the past, but choosing the present, choosing home. The woman smiled through tears. He loves you, she said gently. Daniel swallowed. He saved me, he replied. Silence again, but this time it was kind, warm, healing. They talked for hours, about loss, about mistakes, about the dog who had waited for both of them, in different ways. And when she left, she didn't take Milo. She didn't try to. She kissed him softly between the eyes. Be happy, she whispered, and he stayed. By choice, not by abandonment, not by waiting, by love. And something happened inside Daniel, too. He realized healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning to carry it without breaking. It's about finding someone, or something, who walks beside you, not to replace what you lost, but to remind you that there is still more to find. Milo wasn't just a rescue dog. He was a bridge between grief and hope, between loneliness and connection, between the life Daniel lost and the one he was slowly, gently building again. The seasons changed. Winter melted into spring, and Milo, the dog who had once curled up under streetlights, now slept with his head resting on Daniel's foot, as if anchoring them both to the same moment. Safe, quiet, present, not waiting anymore, just living together. And that brings us to the heart of this story. Loyalty isn't always about staying in the same place. Sometimes, real loyalty is when a heart finally feels safe enough to move forward, to choose again, to love again, not out of fear, but out of freedom. And Milo, the dog who refused to leave, didn't refuse love. He only waited until it finally came back for him. If this story touched your heart, stay with us, because here, every rescued paw has a voice. Every broken beginning can become a healing journey. And sometimes, when we think we're the ones saving them, we discover they were saving us all along. Paw Prints Healing Paws Stories. Episode 4. The Dog Who Refused to Leave. Part 3, Final Chapter. Healing doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with fireworks, or music, or applause. Most of the time, it arrives softly, like a breath you didn't realize you'd been holding, finally being released. And one quiet morning, Daniel woke to a feeling he hadn't known in years. Stillness. Not empty, not lonely, just peaceful. He looked down, and there was Milo, sleeping with his head draped lazily across Daniel's ankle, as if he had always belonged there. As if he always would. The world kept moving. It always does. Bills still came. The kettle still whistled. The sky still changed colors twice a day, without asking permission. But Daniel noticed something new. He was no longer moving against the world. He was moving with it. And Milo, that muddy, rain-soaked dog, who had once waited alone beneath streetlights, quietly become the rhythm of his days. Not a burden, not an obligation, a companion. Then came the letter, folded, plain, placed gently in the mailbox, as if it carried a heartbeat. It was from her, the woman who had once knelt in Daniel's doorway, holding the past in trembling hands. She didn't ask for Milo back. She simply wrote, "Thank you for loving him the way I couldn't, when the world fell apart." And at the bottom, almost as an afterthought, "If one day he chooses to come visit, my door will always be open." There was no fear in the words, no threat, just gratitude, wrapped inside grief, wrapped inside love, the complicated kind, the human kind. Daniel sat on the step for a long time. Milo curled beside him, breathing softly, as dusk painted everything gold. And he realized something. Rescue isn't about possession. It isn't about who holds the leash, or who's, especially then. Months later, on a day stitched with sunlight, Daniel drove to a quiet park on the edge of town. Not to say goodbye, not to repay a debt, but to honor a promise. Milo walked beside him, tail relaxed, eyes bright, body soft and open. Not the shaking shadow of a dog Daniel had first found. A soul who had learned that the world could hold him gently. They waited on a bench overlooking the water. When she arrived, her smile was fragile, but real. Milo paused. You could almost see the memories rise and settle inside him, like dust drifting through light. Then he stepped forward, slow, unrushed, carrying both of his lives inside him. She knelt, pressing her forehead to his. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered, and Daniel knew. She wasn't saying it only to Milo. She was saying it to the version of herself who had survived. Even when things shattered, they didn't talk much. They didn't need to. Some stories don't belong to words. Some stories live quietly, between heartbeats, between glances, between shared silence on a warm afternoon. And when it was time to leave, Milo did something small, but powerful. He walked back to Daniel, not in fear, not in confusion. He simply chose, and everyone understood. Love isn't a tug of war, it's a circle. Years slipped by, the way years always do. Daniel grew silver at the edges. Milo slowed, but never lost that soft glow in his eyes, the one that looked like forgiveness. They still visited her sometimes. They still sat on that same park bench, watching sunlight dance across the water. And when the world felt heavy, Daniel would rest his hand on Milo's chest, feeling the slow, steady rhythm there, a reminder that two broken stories can meet in the rain and become one whole life. Not perfect, not painless, but real, and real is enough. Paw Prints closing thoughts. If you ever feel forgotten, left behind, or unsure whether anyone will ever truly see you, remember Milo, the dog who waited in the rain. He wasn't waiting for someone perfect. He was waiting for someone kind, and kindness changes everything. Sometimes slowly, sometimes quietly, but always, always, completely. Paw Prints whispered Paws. If this story found you at the right moment, I'm glad you're here. Stay with us for more gentle stories of rescue, of second chances, of love that doesn't give up, even when the world feels stormy. Because here at Healing Paws Stories, we don't just tell